The Chicago Bears season is about to get even more exciting, and you won't want to miss this. Picture this, a dream move that could completely change the team's landscape. We're talking about a deal that would bring a $52 million star to Chicago, a real quarterback pressure specialist. The Bears are 4-2, but they know that to reach the top, they need an impenetrable defense. Could this player be the key piece to seal Chicago's fate? Stick around until the end, because this news is going to have all the fans speculating about what's next for the team. The mid-season trade market is heating up, and the rumors are flying. One of the Bears' most dynamic playmakers, whose contract is around $3.6 million, could be packing his bags before the next deadline. Is this really the end of his journey in Chicago? With his playing time dwindling since the arrival of new stars, the chances of a trade have never been higher. If this player leaves, what would it mean for the Bears' future? Don't move a muscle, because this bombshell could drop at any moment. Finally, one of the best secrets of the Bears' defense has been quietly making waves, but not for much longer. This veteran safety has been the best signing of the season, and nobody's talking about him. With only 6 games under his belt, he's already wreaking havoc on opposing quarterbacks, boasting stats that put him among the best in the NFL. Has Chicago found their new defensive leader? I'll break down all the details and why this player is crucial for the team's success this season. So stay with me and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any more Bears analysis. Alright, Chicago Bears fans, listen up. We're sitting at 4-2 this season, but is that enough? I'm asking you this. We've seen how this team is completely transformed on offense, and I'll admit, Caleb Williams, Rome Odunze, Keenan Allen, and DeAndre Swift have brought fresh energy and explosiveness to our game. But what about the defense? Can we honestly say we've dominated on both sides of the ball? I don't think so. Because let's be real, our defense needs a boost, and they know it just as well as I do. Pro Football Focus is throwing us a dream proposal, a fairy tale trade that could bring us the Saints' star defender, Carl Granderson. Yes, Carl Granderson, a guy who has proven to be a wall against the run, and in 2024, he sharpened his ability to pressure the quarterback. I'm telling you this, 29 pressures this season, 3 sacks, and a pressure success rate of over 17%. Now I'm wondering, is this the guy we need to elevate our defense to the next level? Because let's look at the numbers. No Bear has achieved more than 18 pressures this season. Is that really enough to compete seriously? Andrew Billings is the only one on our defensive line with a decent rating in QB pressure, and if we're being honest, he's not dominating. So, if we add Granderson, wouldn't we be filling the biggest gap this team has in its defense? I'll tell you something else. The Saints are in free fall, going from 2-0 to 2-5, a painful drop for a team that seems to need a rebuild. And that's where we can capitalize. By moving a key piece like Granderson now, we could give our defense the boost it needs to keep us on the winning track. Because let's be clear, with an offense like ours, we're just missing that defensive element to become unstoppable. But now I ask you, loyal Bears fans, is it worth the risk to make this trade for Carl Granderson? Do you think with this guy dominating on the edge, we'll be true Super Bowl contenders? Or are we fine with what we have? Let me know in the comments. I want to hear what you think. Because I'm telling you this, the time to act is now. Now I ask you, what's going on in the halls of Hollis Hall? Why are we even talking about a possible trade for Khalil Herbert? We're 4-2, folks, and we've won 3 games in a row. In those 3 games, the team has scored 95 points. Are you telling me that after all that, someone is going to move the pieces of this team? I think this is a topic we need to seriously discuss. I'll say this. Yes, Herbert hasn't had many opportunities this year. With DeAndre Swift now in our backfield, his role has obviously diminished. He's only had 8 carries in 6 games, but is that really a good enough reason to send him packing? Watch out for this. We can't fall into the trap of underestimating the value that someone like Khalil Herbert can bring. Sure, the stats aren't in his favor, but when you need him, he shows up. And I wonder, can we really afford to let him go at this point in the season? Now, listen to what Adam Johns from The Athletic says. It wouldn't be surprising for the team to move Khalil Herbert or Nate Davis before the deadline. I don't doubt it. The Bears could very well be buyers or sellers at this point. But would that be the right decision? Herbert isn't just a talent who shines in key moments. He's someone who knows the system and can be trusted when the games get tough. So I'm telling you, the possibility of losing someone like that for a few draft picks has me thinking, is that really the best move for our team now that we're building something special? Look, Chicago has important picks in the 2025 draft, a first-rounder and 2 second-rounders. That sounds incredible. I'm not saying those picks don't matter, but here's the problem. We need players for now, not just for later. What good is it to invest in the future if we neglect what we have today? And if we're going to talk about investments, ask yourselves this. Do we need reinforcements on the defensive line? Of course we do. That's been discussed and you know it. But what we can't do is start dismantling the team just as we're beginning to find our rhythm. Do you think we can afford that? I say we need to think carefully before making drastic decisions. Of course, Nate Davis's name has also been floating around in the rumors. His value on the offensive line is something we can't ignore. And I know some of you might say, well, if they're not contributing enough, maybe it's time to move them. But what can't be denied is that in the big picture, we need depth. Injuries happen, the season is long, and we can't be left without options. So what do we do with Khalil Herbert? Do we send him to another team for a couple of picks, or do we keep him as a reliable backup option? I think we need to take a deeper look at how we want to handle the second half of the season. And let me be clear, I'm not saying Herbert is the answer to all our problems, but his departure could create a void that we might not be able to fill with a rookie draft pick. Do you see what I mean? Who here is talking about Kevin Byard? I bet no one. I'm telling you, the best move of the Chicago Bears free agency is flying under the radar. And now I ask you, how is that even possible? Look, the Bears' offseason was a whirlwind of changes. New receivers, a running back, a rookie quarterback, a new offensive coordinator. It was a frenzy of activity. But amidst all that chaos, the signing of Kevin Byard, one of the top defensive acquisitions, has been overshadowed. I can't let that continue. This guy has played way too well to not get the recognition he deserves. 6 games. That's all it took for Kevin Byard to prove he's a key piece in this Bears defense. Did you know that since entering the league in 2016, Byard has had a Pro Football Focus grade of 91.9? That's no joke. We're talking about him being rated as the 3rd best safety in the entire NFL this season. And if you think that's just a pretty stat on paper, think again. His impact on the field is tangible. I'll tell you this, Byard has limited opposing quarterbacks to a passer rating of just 71.9 when they face him. And you know what else? He's already got an interception. But that's not all. He has 27 solo tackles, 5 defensive stops, and how many missed tackles do you think he has? Just 1. Compared to Eddie Jackson, whom he replaced, that's a complete 180-degree turnaround. And now I ask all the fans, what more do you want from a safety? Byard isn't just doing his job on the field, he's also stepping into a leadership role in the locker room. This guy came in and was voted team captain by his teammates before the season even started. That tells you everything you need to know about how he's integrated into the Bears culture. Now, sure, everyone's excited about the offense, right? Caleb Williams, Shane Waldron, and his offensive scheme. I am too, don't get me wrong. But this defense, folks, this defense is ready to step up. And Kevin Byard is one of the names leading that charge. The defensive line has been revitalized, but don't forget what this secondary is doing, especially with a guy like Byard covering the deep. I'm telling you, this 2-year signing is paying off immediately, and if he keeps playing like this, we're talking about someone who could be the difference between winning or losing close games in the future. Byard is everything Matt Eberflus was looking for in a safety. Athletic, with range, great communication skills, and solid ball handling. Now the question is for you, Bears fans. Do you think Kevin Byard is the best signing of the offseason? Or do you think his impact has been exaggerated? Faithful Bears fans, this is the moment of truth. Carl Granderson has been on many teams' radar, but now the question is for you. Do you think it's worth the risk to make this trade? I want to hear your thoughts because your comments are what fuel this conversation. Leave your opinions below. Now, let's address the biggest dilemma facing our backfield. Khalil Herbert has been a key player, but should we really consider parting ways with him? I have my doubts, but what matters here is what you think. Is this the right decision, or would we end up regretting it? I want to know what the best fan base in the world has to say. And speaking of significant signings, Kevin Byard has been mentioned as the big name of this offseason. But do you think he's been the best signing, or has his impact been exaggerated? This is a conversation that can't just stay in words. I need you to share your perspective in the comments.